I'll take a couple of minutes to share my perspective on digital states. I liked your parameters that you looked into from various angles, including the digital infrastructure, looking at your citizen services and transformation is happening around. But I think maybe I'm going a little bit differently in terms of my definition of digital states. I see an opportunity for us to look at from the where this economy is going to be transforming from tomorrow onwards, or maybe it's already transferred, but we are in maybe a late journey, or we're defining it lately. I see that the economy which is being run as a state GDP, or let's say the country's GDP, converting itself into a digital economy. Now, how the digital economy is going to build up the new digital infrastructures, or infrastructure which is using the digital technologies to run much more efficiently. How we are picking up the initiatives of that the states are looking at the digital economy in nature, and what it defines for us. Maybe those parameters would be relevant, because then the relevance towards the states performing and contributing to the economy will be much more greater. In turn, it will be an impact of implementation. In turn, it will be impact on the social benefits and etc. I give an example. If I see that let's say the procurement has been transformed on the JAM portal now, right? Imagine the billions of dollars which has been saved, or say millions of dollars which has been saved by the government and the respective state governments, can be used for much more better economic advantage, right? And for productivity. Likewise, there are many examples of this kind which can be considered, and you're considering most of them in the definition. But let me just throw a light of 5 pillars on which I think would be looked into is another way of looking at lens. One, how much percentage of the state GDP is actually coming from a digital economy? Let's look at that index, right, and see that which are the states which are contributing towards more of the digital economy composition. The second parameter that I think will also be important is that what type of digital industries are getting into the states, right? For example, if I define, let's say, how many startups and startups contribution in the tech field are going in a state, how many system design manufacturings are happening on electronic side or the digital side of the story, are they coming more? How is the contribution happening around? What type of software companies or the GCCs companies, the R&D companies are coming up in the field of this level? I think if you define this definition, bifurcate the total contribution on the state GDP, and then go defining the types of industries in the states, then you'll get a very different index altogether. Third parameter is what is a digital talent? You talked about digital literacy. I'm absolutely great fan of the digital literacy. We need to have this. We have 400 million rural users coming on the internet. By 2030, I'm expecting that every rural citizen of this country will be digital citizen. Those 400 million people are digitally literate. In the definition of digital literacy, may not be, but they are using the internet right now for the various transactions right now itself in a different format. So maybe what we look into is the digital literacy sphere. Include that definition. There are digital talent. How is the state is performing on providing a digital talent for what? For the industries to grow, for the economy to grow, for the state is required to be done as well. How do we creating the digital talent supply side? Where are we on those indices? And especially if you want to measure every year, your digital talent profile is going to change. The top 10 skills required by the country is changing every second year. So that means the state has to perform very differently to come out with their institution and academic institution and supply side in partnership with the industry more and more. Ensure that you are on the track. You don't lose the track. You can't produce the same engineer that you're producing 5 years back or degree college students 5 years back. Very differently now. So we need to look into the digital talent side. And the fourth one, which you already picked up in your very fantastic report, is a digital transformation. How much digital transformation is happening in various fields? But you are limiting yourself from a government side of the story. I think you need to also look into from the economy side of the story. For example, how much agriculture is getting transformed on the digital? How much the private players are participating into it? What is happening on the agri-tech side and adoption into the states? What is happening on the edu-tech which has been adopted into the state? What is happening on the health tech which has been adopted in the state? If you pick up these and then the MSMEs, manufacturing, etc., how they are transforming the businesses on the digital one. If you bring that level, then the digital states, purely from a lens of looking at the government lens, will be differently from an economic lens of view. The last pillar from my side for the digital states will be, yes, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, great cities, Gurgaon, great cities. But what happened when you talk about the state? Are we looking at a digital state from a evenly growth story or not? Are we creating certain zones where we can find the digital happening? And what is the state and what is the industry for that? If you bring that level of knowledge also to say that, are you really looking forward to grow the evenly growth story of this? Are you getting opportunities? Are you creating a startup ecosystem in those zones? These 5 pillars gives me the concepts of the digital states in my lens of view. And that's what we are looking at from a Karnataka digital economy mission as well, to see if we want to perform in the global map from a Karnataka perspective, to be called as a digital state in India, then we need to be performing in these 5 parameters very strongly. And if you're there, then obviously, we are ranked number 1 in the country for startups and innovations, DPIIT ranking, and et cetera, is perfectly fine. Maybe we are not great in terms of the every indices that you are looking at it perspective. Lessons learned for us, we might improve upon that. But maybe a secondary version of the report can be covered. And I'm pretty sure if you pick up those indexes, Karnataka will be a leading state in terms of what we're doing and how we're performing it. So let me just take a pause here and just say that, in my view, if digital states for tomorrow needs to be defined, let every state look at how the percentage GDP contribution is today. Let's say X percentage of my state GDP is coming from digital economy is X percentage. Make it X plus 1. Make a target for this. And then you design the strategies to adopt for that level. We ourselves are contributing and making a responsible statement that if country is looking for $1 trillion digital economy, yes, my Honorable Prime Minister, Karnataka wants to contribute $300 billion into $1 trillion digital economy of the country. Can we do this? We need to define, we need to partner, we need to look into strategies. And that's what we're trying to say, what are those things that we need to do differently here?